Hello, hello.
Hola.
How are
I
you
can't
guys?
see. Good.
Good.
How you be? Are we
I'm
ready?
excited.
Hmm?
So we found some photos, and I almost want to ask you about them before we get started.
Yeah.
So they're in the vault section of the Raffma website, and there's this weird light thing going in front of some of the photos. Do you know anything about that?
I think, yeah, I don't know anything about it. I didn't take the photos, but one of the staff members took some photos of the mask, but I don't think that we didn't know that was happening until we looked at the images later. We thought we were just taking regular documentary or shots for documentation. So yeah, I think it was one of those. It was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, because I think we're gonna use them today. Because I was looking this morning at trying to find a really good image, and I saw them, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's weird. And so me and Lana did some more digging. We found the actual images, and it's pretty creepy. There's an image where the light is kind of in front of the face, and the eye is only showing.
Yeah.
Really creepy. I was freaked out.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where if that happened any other time, it would just be like a weird light situation with a camera. But because it's the mask, it's like, oh my God, clearly it's haunted now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was, I just thought it was a weird coincidence. I thought it was pretty creepy.
Yeah. Sorry, Miranda's right here. So any changes? What's the thoughts?
So I think everything's still gonna go as planned. I think I'm gonna introduce you, Lana, myself, and I'm probably just gonna ask you some warm-up questions.
Yeah, do that.
Ask you have you enjoyed your time at the museum? Stuff like that. Just kind of warm up the
icebreaker, right?
And then once people start to get settled, and maybe about 5 minutes in, we'll start to kind of bring up any spooky things around the museum, and then that's when you'll mention the mask falling, and then it'll kind of just unveil like that.
Maybe the setup, some of the icebreaker setup could be so you've been designing museum exhibits for over 20 years at this institution or other, something like that. You've done ancient objects or just kind of some warm up stuff like that. I think would be good.
Yeah, we can do that.
But don't ask me if I like working for the museum, because I'll just say no.
I'm gonna ask them, what do you think of your coworkers?
There were some nice. There's some highlights.
They don't let them in yet. Okay, will you be able to let them in, or do you want me to try to see again if I can?
I can do it.
I don't know what they're doing. Is Lana coming?
Yeah.
I'll get the.
Yeah, she's supposed to be here. We were just on Zoom, right now. We were kind of trying to set things up.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where she is, but yeah, I'm kind of excited. Let's see who's here.
Hola.
He's here.
Can we? Is Miranda going to be on screen as well, or is it just us three? Can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure what Miranda's going to be doing. I think last time we saw her face.
She's going to be doing everything like she usually does, according to her.
I'm debating whether or not to use the virtual background, because it actually works with this laptop now.
Oh. I kind of like the virtual background just because I think it kind of gives you guys more of a neutral. That way, I've got the backdrop and you guys are kind of neutral. But
right.
I don't know if Teresa can do it.
I can't do it.
She can't do it.
Avatar. Look like Avatar.
What's the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, let's see.
I like that because it says art hour. See, that's what we got to do, Teresa. Why can't you do that?
Because I look like this. I look like that, or I
I
look
think
like
you
this.
got to move closer to the camera. Well, not like that. Whatever you did before. You've got the background on your face. Oh, no,
it's
it
still-
doesn't. It doesn't work.
it's weird. I like this one better though.
Are we going in?
No, we still have a couple more minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you nervous, John?
No, but I still am uncomfortable about what I'm looking
Are you mirrored still?
at. Oh, we lost it.
We have one person in the waiting room right now.
What did you do? I can't see you guys. Can you hear me or see me?
Yes, we can hear you. I can see you and hear you.
Okay, I can't see. I just have a blank screen, so just so you know.
Okay.
Do we have anybody showing up for this thing? We're not on, right? Nobody can hear us right now, right?
No, but we do have 2 people in our waiting room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're back. Oh, he made it in. All right.
All right.
This is like the most stressful part for me. Just
It's like the waiting.
the
Yeah.
waiting, like those last few minutes before like people are in.
Yeah. I can see that.
No.
It's gonna be easy. Don't be nervous. Nobody cares. This is the thing you just always have to remind yourself whenever you feel nervous about something. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares.
Good to know.
Yeah. We're recording this though, right?
Yeah.
Is it being recorded right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I better watch my mouth.
It's okay. They'll probably cut out the beginning part.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, they cut it out and
Oh,
then.
'cause you can't delete it in these Zoom recordings anymore. You can? Man, this guy, Diego, can do it all. All right.
Is Miranda there?
Yeah. She's in the other, I think she's at the front desk. She's our producer.
She's
Or
from behind
Diego.
the scenes.
I still look shiny. My forehead still looks shiny.
It's okay.
Give me some, I need some fucking powder. Oh, I said that. Maybe we need to turn this light off. Yeah. I got too many lights on me. You guys can't see they can't see this table that's just got like a blanket.
No. So exhibition designer, 20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Over 20 years here, worked for the Norton Simon Museum and the Grand Rapids Art Museum.
Okay.
Norton Simon in Pasadena, Grand Rapids Art Museum in Michigan. I've been around.
Yes, you have.
Oh, one thing I did last time, I put in speaker view. That helped a little bit.
It depends. How are you recording, Teresa? Do you have the gallery?
What do you mean?
Teresa, or do you have the speaker view on your? You're recording it, so it's going to depend how you record it.
I have no idea.
How does it look? Do you have like 4 boxes? You can see everyone's video?
Yes.
Okay. I think that should be fine.
Okay.
But I think when more people get in, it might be better to have the speaker view. What do you guys think?
What's the speaker view?
So if you go to the top right corner of the window, there's the view, and then you can pick speaker view or gallery view. You can also hover over a video, and the 3 dots in the corner, you can pin their video or spotlight for everyone, so that if somebody else makes noise, let's say either your videos make noise, it doesn't jump videos between. You stay on who's speaking.
All right.
So you'll have to kind of control that, Teresa, because you're the one recording it.
So is gallery view the one where my entire screen is 4 boxes, or is that speaker view?
That's gallery view. Gallery view will show you up to like 50 video heads or whatever.
Okay.
Speaker view will it'll make whoever's talking the big screen. You can kind of see by the yellow box around ours right now, because I'm talking. So that's the speaker.
So would it help if I just pin your guys' video?
You can pin like when people are talking if you want to do that. You just have to manually do it every time you want to change.
Okay. Is Miranda going to start letting people in, or is that something that we're doing?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna start letting people in.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Oh, Deanna. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. We're going to get started here in a few minutes. We're just kind of waiting for everyone to get settled and just waiting for everyone to show up. If you have any questions ahead of time, feel free to chat in the box, and we will try to get back to you. All right, so it looks like everybody's in. So I just want to thank everybody for coming. My name's Teresa, and I'm here with my co-host Lana. And today we have our special guest, John Fleeman. He is our exhibition designer, and he has been working with RAFMA for well over 20 years. So John, how are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to have you here. We think it's a great opportunity to have, like the star of the show here, the one who's been working at RAFMA the longest. So working with ancient artifacts, have you kind of learned to kind of ignore the superstitions behind it, or have you kind of just like, how do you deal with that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think I've been doing this for, like you said, over 20 years, doing everything from ancient Egyptian or ancient exhibitions to very contemporary. Here at Norton Simon Museum, Grand Rapids Art Museum in Michigan. I think initially, whenever you're working with, at the Norton Simon Museum, for example, when I got to work with those masterpieces, the first time that I moved a Rembrandt, I think you kind of get affected by it, just the sheer fact that it is so valuable and is so famous. And the same is true with ancient artifacts as well. We have to handle them a lot, obviously. So you're designing the exhibition, you're also handling the art. Not a lot of people know this, but the designer typically in these institutions kind of wears a couple of hats. And it's no different here. You're making mounts and you're moving the artifacts and thinking about, not only where and how they're going to be displayed. So you're handling them a lot. And I think initially you're, for example, with the Egyptian work, which I had never worked with before coming to RAFMA, holding a pre-dynastic piece that's 5,000 years old is pretty interesting experience for the first time. But it wears down after a while, and then it just becomes another object. You're aware of it. You're aware of the fragility of it, how old it is, and how irreplaceable it is. So I think you're just a little more careful, but you kind of forget. They just become another object after a while, and it's fun to work with like you guys at the museum, to see the students and student assistants come in and new staff, and they get really excited about the idea of handling these objects for a while. So you kind of relive that vicariously through them. But yeah, there definitely are times, but it's certainly after all these years, I don't really think about it too much.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I think what a lot of people have questions about is, I get asked this question all the time at tours. What is up with the haunted mask? Is it real? Is it really haunted? So from working at RAFMA for 20 years, can you kind of give us the layout of like what happened that day and kind of take us through that night?
Sure. Well, it was, I believe it was 2009. I think the years sort of start to blend together after a while. So I forget, but I was told it was like 11 years ago, which seems like a couple of years ago. And to kind of put it in context, I'm actually in the gallery right now that the exhibit was in and being installed in. I'm only about 20 feet from where this occurred. But prior to installing that exhibition, we had on loan about 200 objects from the Petrie Museum in London. So the artifacts traveled here. We cleared out the gallery that I'm in, and now it was quite a bit different than it is now as far as the layout, the design, where the walls are, that sort of thing. We change those quite often. But we had installed that 200 objects that were here for quite a while. Took them down and had to ship them back, and then we were reinstalling a sort of a different version of our Egyptian collection in this gallery. And it was, like I said, from the pre-dynastic, from the oldest stuff that we have to the latest stuff, which would be the Greco-Roman. So we were actually, I remember we were kind of under the gun. The time frame between those two and how much work you accomplish is pretty crucial, as anybody who's, as you guys know now, you've seen it firsthand. So it's pretty busy, and we were working late and trying to finish this thing up. And we were in the Greco-Roman gallery, which was sort of the last part of the exhibition that we were installing. So everyone was kind of tired, and we were trying to, we had the finish line was in sight, and we were just trying to get those last few pieces installed to finish it up. So that sort of sets the stage of where we were when this event occurred that has built the reputation of the so-called haunted mask, which is actually right there. Mm-hmm. So there she is.
That's awesome. So speaking of the layout and the mask and everything, I'm actually going to share a screenshot from the video showing kind of the layout so that everybody can kind of get a really good point of view from where everybody was, kind of showing that no one was around when everything was going on. So I'm going to share that with everybody right now. Right, so right here, this is the gallery. I want everyone to kind of see. I don't know if you guys can really see all that great, but over here, we have some people working far away from where the pedestal is. And all the way over here is where the mask is laying. The mask is right here, and she is laying on the table flat down. There's nobody around her. Nobody's touching her in any way. So I just want to make sure everyone sees that no one's around the mask.
Yeah. So prior to that photo, that's a still shot of the actual video. Prior to that, if you were, and we don't want anybody to watch because it's quite long, but you see me standing in front of that display case. And to put everything into perspective, that image, the display case that the mask is resting on, is a little over 3 feet long. It's almost 2 feet deep. So, and the mask it's a pretty good sized mask up here. It's, it's not completely life size, but it's pretty good sized mask. So, yeah, I was there actually working on the mask. When I say working on it, I was trying to figure out exactly how I was going to display it. So, so this mask is, it's, like I said, Greco-Roman mummy mask. They call it a naturalistic mummy mask. It's 3rd or 4th century. It's plaster and hand painted. So, and it actually has a flat back on it. So what I was trying to figure out is how to display it. And so this fragment here, there's a part of the neck is missing, but imagine a coffin. This would have been, you can tell that her gaze is kind of down. The head would have been lifted up. So it would have been attached to the outside of the coffin, sort of rising up. So this was part of the funerary banquet So they would have these ceremonial banquets, and so the deceased would be in the coffin in the room while they were having their banquet, but they would make them so that the head is sort of rising up from a reclining position instead of staring straight up. So because of that, she's kind of looking down. So I was trying to figure out how to display it, and what I wanted to do was hang it on a wall like this a little bit. There was a back wall to this display case, so that the eyes were kind of looking at the viewer, just to make them a little more uncomfortable, I guess. But so I was trying to figure out how to mount that safely and what kind of hardware to use, and where it was going to be located. So prior to that shot, or leaving the room, I was holding it up. I had the spot determined where I was going to hang it, and I put it back down on the deck to go to the shop and grab some tools and some hardware to see how it would fit. And that's when it occurred. And I remember that night. So I walked back. I remember that night, as you circled, there were some staff working, and that wasn't a typical thing. Typically, Mike Beckley, our exhibition preparator, and I do all of the handling and installing, but we needed some additional help. And I think you circled Eva Kirsch, our director. So if Eva's called in to help, it's a pretty serious situation. So, and I was really nervous about that. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any mistakes. So when I walked back, and then I heard the crash. I heard something fall on the floor, and the thing that I was worried about is that there was a display case there of Roman glass, and I kept saying to everyone, don't, the glass is very fragile. Like, let's just, if this is the way we're going to install it, be careful. And Eva was actually cleaning, and Eva, she has experience doing this, so I'm not suggesting that, but you just are nervous that something could happen, because it's an out of the ordinary process. So my first thought whenever I heard this crash was, they broke the glass. And I thought, I knew it. It's just, they broke the glass. But so I come walking back, and in that time, in my head, I thought, well, that doesn't sound like glass breaking. It sounded pretty heavy. Our floors are concrete, so you could definitely tell the difference between some thin glass hitting the floor and something pretty heavy and hard. And so whenever I come around the corner, as we watch the video some more, I'll kind of walk you through from where I went from there.
Yeah, I can't imagine like what went through your head, because you are in charge of all these really, really important artifacts, and I can't imagine that feeling like, oh my gosh, something just fell. Like, I can't imagine how stressed that you felt in that moment. So before we get into the video, I do want to ask, do you know how much, like on average, and maybe like a little guess, how much the mask weighs?
It's a few pounds. I mean, it's a solid piece. It's plaster, and it's hand painted. So it's got some weight to it. It's not a very lightweight hollow thing. It's a solid piece. And like I said, the back of it is flat. So imagine it's like a mask, obviously, and then the back has been it was filled with there was a block on the back to make it very flat. So we're talking about something that was lying flat on a deck with there's no round side to it at all. In fact, it's very flat on the back. So yeah, it was it's a pretty heavy piece. It's not something that's going to move with some slight vibration or a little breeze.
Yeah, I asked because I want to debunk certain things before we get into watching the video, because it is really easy to say like, oh well, they were working in the museum. What if somebody hit something, or what if the AC was on? So I kind of want to debunk some of that stuff before we get into the video, so that everyone kind of sees like, oh, this is legit. Like, this actually really happened.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's crazy. So with that being said, I'm actually going to show the video or show a segment of the video because it is originally about 17 minutes long. So it is a pretty long video. All right. Can everybody see my screen good? So I want everyone to see the video. The screen, the mask is over here in this area.
Yeah, and you can see Eva there in the middle. She's working on the Roman glass pieces, and now you can see
And there it falls right here.
there it went. Yeah.
Anybody notice, but it does kind of slightly move over in each frame.
Yeah, and the reason that is the frames are there's about a second between each frame. We had a video surveillance system. It's a little different now. Of course, the technology is much better, but it was called a multiplexer. So it had to cycle through 16 cameras. So the longer the time between frames, the longer we could record as far as days or weeks. So we chose about a second between. So that's the reason it's jumpy is not the quality of the video, it's that it's cycling through all the other cameras recording with this DVR, the technology at the time. So it seems kind of jumpy because it's taken almost a second for it to cycle back through to catch the next frame.
So we have you coming back into the room. Can you kind of take us through what you're saying to everybody else or what you're thinking?
Well, what I was thinking is, what the hell did you guys do while I was gone? I was only gone for a few minutes. My thinking was somebody did something. As you can see, it didn't just, in my thoughts was it didn't just fall off the shelf by itself. And you could see that it's where it was placed was quite a ways away from, it's not like it was resting on the corner, teetering off the side or some things. It's resting flat on there. So my thought was, what did you guys do? And I was kind of angry. I thought, this is not acceptable. What's the explanation for this? So I came back very suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you came back to it, was it like still solid, or was there like chips off of it? Was it broken?
Yeah, it didn't break into like 1,000 pieces. It broke into, maybe 50 pieces or something like that, but small pieces. There was, significant damage. In fact, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we discovered after it fell and we were trying to put the pieces back together that the nose and the chin were actually later additions. You could tell once it was broken apart that that part had been, restored at earlier or later, much later date, which is pretty common. I mean, if that's where it always breaks, anything that protrudes, the nose and the chin. So we didn't know that before, and then obviously had to have it conserved, and you can see it put back together now. So that was interesting. I think my first, other than being upset that it's lying on the floor in pieces, the next thing I was thinking is, I'm looking at the pieces thinking, can we put this thing back together? How bad is it? And then notice that there was a clear difference between the original plaster and the new plaster. The new plaster being very white, you could tell that it was painted over. So somebody had conserved it, probably many years ago. It was sort of the style up to like the 70s to sort of fake a restoration. Now they don't really do that. They let you know where the restoration is, or the completion of a body part, or so they make it obvious. They complete the look and the shape and the form, but they let you know that this is not. If you go to the Getty or something, you'll see that on display a lot. They don't try to fool you with what is original or not. So I think those kind of things are all going through my head, but really the overriding thought was, who did this, and why didn't you stay away from it like I told you to?
So when you walked back into the room and you saw that nobody was around it, because it doesn't take very long to walk from where you were to walk back into that event space. So when you saw that nobody was there.
Yeah, I still didn't believe them. I thought they were still. I thought they had in a short second said, don't tell John. And, you know, here's the story. We were all standing over here. Nobody did anything. And that's what I was still thinking. There's no way this thing just came off the case by itself.
I'm gonna show a little bit more of the video. You know, you're staring at it. You're trying to figure out what's going on.
And so it's dark in there. I'll kind of talk over while we're watching this. And so I was going for a very dramatic design where the majority of the gallery is quite dark and very hot spotlights to kind of to go with the drama. So when you see this, so of course the recording makes it look quite a bit darker than it actually is, but it's still pretty dark and you can't see that well. So I think at some point here, we'll see in a second, we go and get a flashlight so that we can really see. So at this point, we're not moving anything. We're just sort of investigating where everything is and how it's lying, and you know, still scratching our heads, and a bunch of different emotions are going through my mind. Still, the overriding thought at this point is somebody's going to be telling me the truth of what happened. And by the way, at this point, I completely forgot that we had a video surveillance system.
So you obviously didn't believe that no one had anything to do with this, and you thought that somebody in there did this to the mask. So after everyone's telling you, like, no, there's no way, like, we didn't touch it, we weren't near it, what was your reaction? Like, what did you decide to do?
Well, yeah. Then at some point, I remembered that we did have a camera in there, and that the camera was pointing almost directly at the case. You can see I'm still. I think Mike Beckley might have come in at this point, but we're still trying to figure it out. But then I remembered, okay, we have a video surveillance system. So I think I even said something like, well, I have this on video. We have the camera there. I can go back and watch this thing. Are you guys, do you want to change your story? Are you still standing by the idea that are with the story that nobody did anything? So I was still suspicious, and I thought, haha, I got you. I've got the video evidence. Let's go to the replay. So right after this, after we documented what was going on and picked up the pieces, I went directly to where the DVR was recording the video and pulled it up. And then I had to apologize to everybody.
So from watching, because obviously you watched this video afterwards and you experienced it yourself, what went through your mind when you were watching the video and you saw it happen?
You're just kind of in disbelief. I kept thinking, well, in my mind I was thinking, well, there's got to be a reason that this happened. How could this happen? And I think it was just shock, and it's kind of a weird feeling. I've never experienced anything quite like that, where you can clearly see in this video that something appears to be moving on its own, and me being there, and I was actually holding the object and set it down. So I'm completely aware of all of the situation, what was on the deck, where it was in the gallery. So I had no explanation. So I just kept thinking there has to be some sort of reason for this thing to obviously move on its own. Yeah. So I don't know how to describe the feeling, honestly. It was kind of weird, but it was very quickly replaced with, okay, let's move on. We don't have time to be, we don't have time to grab a bottle of whiskey and start talking about the ghost stories. To numb the pain or the disbelief of it all, we had to finish the exhibition. So it was sort of, all right, well, there you can see we've got the flashlight out and we're really trying to see what's going on. We didn't have any floodlights installed in that gallery, so it wasn't like we could flip a switch and have better light at that time. But it was just move on and let's finish this exhibition and then we can worry about it later. There's nothing we can do about it now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where I was probably 30 minutes after seeing the video, but still in your mind, the rest of the time, everyone's thinking, I can't believe that. Did that really happen? So,
So did
but
you ever?
I wanted to get the show done and go home. Is
Mhm.
what I really wanted to do.
So having to still work in the gallery after experiencing this kind of paranormal event, at any point did you feel like uncomfortable where you said, "Hey, don't leave me alone in here"?
Yeah, there probably did. You know, I mean, there had been times where I felt uncomfortable prior to that on a few occasions. You know, like I said, that years before I was, you know, well, at one time I was the only exhibition staff here. So I had to do, you know, the design, the fabrication, the installation, you know, building the walls, painting. I had some student assistants. So I was here late, and when I say late, till like 2 or 3 in the morning, sometimes by myself. And, you know, an Egyptian gallery is kind of a creepy place to be when you're alone. And this building, you guys know, because you've been to the museum, it sort of creaks and pops and there's a lot of noise and you don't really think about it much until something like this happens. And then you obviously your imagination runs a little wild. But there were moments before that. There was a time when I was all alone working on a mount. I think prior to this, and you know, maybe it has something to do with it, who knows, but I was trying to figure out how to mount a piece. It was a small piece, something I could hold in my hand. So I was looking at it with my gloves on and measuring it and trying to fit a mount to the piece. And so in doing that, I'm cutting little pieces of like felt to back, or moleskin to back the mount, so the buffer between the actual object and the mount that holds it. And apparently I cut my hand and I didn't know it. So I was holding the piece in my hand and I looking at the back of it with the face of the piece down in my palm of my hand, and I flipped it over and I saw that it was dark on there. I thought, well, what the heck is that? You know, how did that happen? So I put it down and then I could see that I had blood coming through my glove, small amount, but through my glove and stained the piece. So I, you know, quickly tried to get it up as fast as I could, but it was a limestone piece, so it kind of soaked right in. And then I remember that night thinking, okay, now I'm cursed. Clearly, I have to be cursed. And then everything got, and then I felt really alone and it felt really strange. So, you know, and then you forget about it after a while, but then reminded of it in this event. And I actually went back and thought, I wonder if this has anything to do with whenever I bled on the Egyptian piece. So I doubt it, but you know, that's, yeah, there's been some creepy nights for
Yeah.
sure.
I know from personal experience, I used to work in the front desk until closing, and I just felt really creeped out. And this is before I knew the whole story of the mask and all that. It's just being alone in a, like a really creaky building. It's just really unsettling at any point.
Yeah.
Fully
Well,
understand
and
that.
there were other incidents that have happened over the years that, of course, now that this happened, we a lot of people, include, have sort of thought, oh, that's clearly because of the haunted mask. It was the mask the whole time. There were some weird things that the mask was installed in a different areas before either of your time here at RAFMA. We had like a tunnel area that you could walk through, and we had this mask and actually this piece here, which is Isis as Aphrodite. They were in a display case together, and the light kept going out right above those two pieces. And then we had one instance where there was some unexplained turning of objects that were on a mount, that we just thought it was just vibration, which it probably was. But then there was a diffuser panel that was above these two pieces that that somehow worked its way out and kind of fell almost on top of the two pieces, but the diffuser panel was smaller or larger than the opening. So somebody would, if you try to take like a diffuser panel out of a light, you got to kind of turn it and tilt it to get it out. Like somehow it worked its way down, which we thought was kind of strange, but that was way before that. And in fact, this piece here, I mean, a lot of people think that this is the haunted mask. Who knows? It could be this one. This one's always been around as well. Or maybe it was the, something from the Petrie Museum. We actually had, there were 250 objects, I think it was 250, 200, over 200 anyway, on display here on loan, like I said, from the Petrie Museum in London. We had a mummy in here. We actually had a mummy that they shipped here. So we had a lot of objects here. So, when you think about these sort of events, everyone has their own theory of, which piece is haunted or what's causing it, or so yeah, there have been some moments before and then after you kind of go back and relive those and get creeped out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I remember we were talking to Brian not too long ago when we had him on our last episode. And he sort of mentioned that I think it's like the coffin lid. When he was trying to photograph those, the photographs weren't coming out for some reason. So like all sorts of instances. And funny enough, when me and Teresa were doing research right before this, we were kind of like doing research messaging each other. And she was like, listen, you have to see these photos I found because they look creepy. And I was like, okay, what are the photos? So let me go ahead and share my screen. So here we kind of have a close-up of the mask itself. I'm like, okay, this looks normal enough. And I'm scrolling through all the photos and I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem normal. And then I'm like, okay, so something's really going on. And I get to this and I'm like, yeah, it's, that doesn't seem like a normal photo. We have a full catalog of these in our system and we have like 20 plus images, and then these somehow made it in and I was like, this is spooky. So
yeah, I forgot about those. I think that was just one of those situations where we were just documenting it. So there was just taking images of the collection. So, like you said, you pulled this up from our collector system, but we're just doing documentary or documenting the condition, just so we have an image of it. And we didn't know that this happened until later. Went back to look at the images, but I forgot about those. I don't remember if that was before or after. Actually, I don't. Mm-hmm. What's the date on that? Is there a date on that thing?
So it's hard to tell because all the photos were uploaded in 2018. You can kind of, I know that with some of the photos like after the fall, you can kind of see like the white lines from the nose, like how you talked about how there's plaster underneath. Yeah. And you can't really see it with what we can see with the nose. So I'm thinking this is before.
Yeah, I think it was before, but I really can't confirm that, which makes it even weirder. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you took that photograph of anything else, you would think, oh, no big deal. It's just a weird light situation, or something on the lens of the camera, or whatever it is. But whenever you see that, and it's taken before, and then you see that what happened, obviously with the video, it starts to creep you out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I had actually forgotten about all of this, and so I want to thank you guys for really bringing this back up so that I get creeped out whenever I'm here all alone. I really appreciate that. I was feeling really good about it before, but now I'm scared.
Right. So we are getting close to wrapping up. So this will go to our audience. We are going to start Q&A soon. But I guess I have a question for you guys first. And I guess you can base your answer off of maybe this photo or the stories that we've shown, or all that. Do you think it's haunted, or do you think something else is going on? So maybe that's something to think about, and then we can go ahead and start with our Q&A. So why don't we go ahead with a pre-submitted question. Do you guys have any other stories from around the museum, maybe other objects? So do you think it's the objects themselves, or do you think the actual entire museum is haunted?
Are you asking me? Is this?
Both of you guys. I mean, both of you guys have worked here longer than I have. I think I
Yeah.
worked 2 weeks
Uh,
in the museum after COVID. So
who knows? I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's been a lot of other things when you go back and you think about the events. You know, it's interesting. So this display case here, this is a brand new. Well, it's not brand new. It was a new design, a new installation after we had taken it down after the exhibition that you saw in the video. We were putting it up, and it was the day of the big reveal of the new Imagine Egyptian exhibition from our permanent collection. And it was within hours, so it was all done, completed. Mike and I designed these new mobile wall systems and new display cases. For those of you who've been here, it's kind of a fresher new look. It's a little more modern looking, with some different materials. So I was going for like this crisp, clean look instead of that dark, mysterious. And I hadn't thought about it. Maybe I was just trying to get away from the dark, haunted space that it was before. But right prior to that, there was one light that I was trying to adjust, just really going through the gallery and nitpicking and trying to get everything perfect for this for the people that were coming, including Dr. Hara, who was going to come and see this. He had come down he was living in Seattle at the time, so he'd come down. And so I went up on the ladder to adjust the light that was shining right here, which is kind of weird. I don't think I've ever told this story, but it was shining on this display case, and I was trying to get a little bit more light on this text or label panel, and got up there, and the entire track blew out, and this big spark came out, and like it shorted out, and so half of the gallery was dark, and it was, like I said, it was within a couple hours. People, Dr. Hara was already here. Actually, he had come in as this was happening, and sparks raining down. It was like it had shorted out and blown a circuit. So that's what happened. We had half the gallery dark. There was nothing I could do, so I had to call in the electrician here on campus. I'll give Keith a shout out. He's the head of that department, supervising that department at the time. He came in, and we had to hardwire the circuit to get the lights back on, and then we had to Mike and I had to jump up and move the tracks and do some last minute electrical work just to get the lights back on. So I remember thinking, here we go again. So it happened right here on this mask. So whether the museum or the mast or whatever is haunted, I don't know. I don't really like to think of it one way or another. Just it happened, or as long as I'm not cursed, that's all I care about.
So why don't we go through another question? Were you guys able to display the mask once it fell, or was it, because I know you mentioned that you were getting a mount for it to display it the night that it fell. Were you guys still able to display it, or did you have to take it from the exhibit?
Yeah, we had to take it out, and so that's another thing that was running through my head that night. Not really, about the mask being haunted or the trying to explain it. I was thinking, okay, what am I going to put there now? So, Evan and I spent a lot of time on really thinking about what piece is going to go where, not only what's going to be in the show, but how they're going to, react to one another. And so that was sort of the big anchor piece in that display case. And I was thinking, what am I going to, now what? We got to find another piece. I think we had already made labels. And so, we had to go through that process. again. So yeah, it was, we couldn't use it. I don't remember what we put up, actually. Maybe Eva remembers.
Awesome, thank you.
Do we have any more questions from anyone watching? Any other personal spooky stories that you guys want to share?
You know, it's funny, right? When I got the job, I didn't know too much about the museum. And so I was talking to a friend of mine who was a history major, and he was saying how, oh, have you seen the mask video? I was like, the what? He's like, the mask video. And I'm like, no, I haven't. And so I remember it was like the week before I started working there, I see this video and I'm like, and you choose to show me now? And then I remember, I think it was like the first time I met you, Teresa. We were both sitting at the front desk. And you were like, oh, by the way, did you know the museum's haunted? And I was like, what did I just get myself into?
Oh yeah, I do think the museum's haunted. You know, my dad, he's been around for a while also. So he's told me some stories. So going in, I was like, I'm pretty sure this building's haunted. Not necessarily RAFMA by itself, just the entire visual arts building. So I just like to make sure that, you know, anyone new coming in, hey, watch out. This place is haunted. But so if nobody has any questions, I think that's where we're going to end today's episode.
Oh, we do have one more question. What was the conservation process like? So I guess, John, that would go to you. Oh, has your audio cut out? Okay, I think we lost audio from John.
So I do think we lost John.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my spooky story that I have just to kind of, so my father, he attended CSUSB as an undergrad and as an MFA student. Well, he used to spend a lot of time in the labs as an undergrad student. Well, apparently there was this man who used to work there a lot. Like he used to always be in the labs, always is there doing his thing. Well, apparently like he suddenly passed away. Well, apparently, according to my dad, he was working in the lab one night and he heard like a cap slide across the floor. And he never saw the cap. He never found out where the cap went or if it was even there. Well, a couple weeks later, apparently that was like the new thing is students were coming in talking about hearing like a cap slide across the floor down the hall or like skipping inside the room. I just wanted to kind of share that little spooky story.
I'm like, I don't want to be in the VA at night anymore.
Yeah.
So we do have a message from John. Seems like the mask is messing with his audio.
Maybe.
Actually, like before I was going to this podcast, I'm like, okay, what if something like right at the end happens? Like it's the mask, it's still there. So I guess with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and end this session. Thank you all for joining us. For those who see it, if you guys are watching in the future, thanks for checking it out. Thank you, John, for being here. Sorry about the whole audio thing. So go ahead and join us next time. We're going to be here again November 12th at the same time, and we're going to be talking to a grad student and a professional about whether or not the art field is as easy as people say it is and what it's like really being an art student or an art professional. So thank you all for joining us and see you guys next time.